I'm dragging with Metal Nexus. My guest is Matt Page from Dream, The Electric Sleep, some Kentucky boys.
That's right.
Yeah, and we'll just dive right into it. The new album, Beneath the Dark Wide Sky, is out. How's the reception of it been so far?
It seems to be going really good. Of course, it's hard to tell, because we don't see if any albums are selling. We're, of the label's doing that now, so we're just like, I hope that it's doing well. But the reviews seem to be good, which is good. So I try not to read all the reviews because it makes me nervous. But I let the guys are like, oh, this is a good one. You should read this one. So I read the ones that won't make me totally distraught. But I think it's going well. I'm excited. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's going well. I really liked it and reviewed it myself, and it's great. And of course, I was a fan of Heritage and the release before it. Title escaped me.
Lost and Gone Forever.
Yes. So
forever ago.
yeah. And like I said in the review, I've seen there's a progression and evolution, definitely.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we're always, trying our best to figure out what's working and what's not working. So every album is like a new chance to sort of rectify the problems that we thought we had on the previous album. So we hope that we're making progress. Though of course some people who liked the first album didn't like the second album. People like the second album don't like the third. So you're always sort of losing some people and gaining new people. It's just the way it goes. You know what I mean? But I think that we're making progress, which is exciting. Yeah.
It's hard to please everybody.
It is.
So,
and that's one of the things. That's a hard thing to learn. You want people to like what you do, and inevitably somebody's like, this sucks, and you're like, okay, I'll just I'll look over here then. So you get used to it. Yeah.
As long as you're happy. I've always heard that's what matters.
It is, and that's we really work to try and protect that writing space. So that when we get in a room together, we're not thinking about, well, what did somebody want to hear? What did this person say? It's always about, does this feel right to us? Is this where we want to be as a band? And I think that's that balance you're always looking for. Is but like I said, why I don't read every review, because I want some space. I want to make sure that I don't get too wrapped up in what's going on around the album, so that I can move to the next album and not sort of feel cluttered. If that makes sense. So anyway, we try to keep that space as protected as we can, so that we can listen to what our gut and our heart is telling us. You know what I mean?
Ultimately, that's to me that's the most important thing anyway. Is how you feel yourselves about it, and hopefully there'll be like-minded people out there
that
get on board.
Yeah.
I'll never be able to pronounce Nick's last name.
Raskulinets.
That's
it. I know. It took me a while.
Yeah, it's tricky. And Reed Mullen, the drummer of COC, he's worked with Nick before, and he's rattled it off, and I have had the hardest time with it.
You got to say it a few times, then you got it.
How was it with working with Nick in the studio?
Nick is he's great, because he's everything you want a producer to be. His goal is to get you to sort of to bring the best out of each song, but also to keep you excited and enthusiastic. And so every day he's jumping around the room, air guitaring and air drumming, and he's in it. He's not sort of a hands-off kind of guy. So I'll be cutting a guitar solo and he'll be 2 feet away from the air guitaring a solo. So he's good at just making you feel like, okay, let's get the performances, let's keep it high energy, and he's good at honing in on the things that really need to shine, and sort of questioning the things that aren't quite working. So he did help us sort of, after you write songs, you're so close to them, it's hard to hear what's good and bad about them. And so somebody like Nick is able to he's your ears. You know what I mean? And so he was really great to work with.
And having that objective outside source, as well, and I'm sure it's a big plus.
It was, and we'd never had that before, so we were. It was a new experience, but it was one that we found really valuable. After producing our first 2 on our own, again, it's like you don't have any distance, and so it's hard to know, was that a good take? Is that the right take? Is that, you just question everything. With the producer in the room, you're just like, Nick, was that good? Did you think that came out? And then he could say, that was it? No, that wasn't it. So he can really quickly give you that answer that you would spend forever questioning, you know. So that was really helpful. We really valued that.
So there wasn't any butting of heads though, because I mean, like you said, you all produced your first two albums. It's sort of hard to relinquish the reins sometimes.
He was, you know, he said from day one, listen, you guys have to love this album. So I'm going to make my suggestions, and if you don't like it, tell me. I might disagree with you, but I'll ultimately do what you guys think is best for you. It just so happened that we agreed with almost everything. There was very few things that we disagreed on. So it was great. I mean, I would like to do another album with him because it felt like this one we were just getting used to working with him. You know, we took basically 5 weeks to make the album, and so that's fast when you're working.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a lot of pre-production where you sort of sit and go through songs and demos and hash things out before you get to the studio. So we would like to be able to do it again and really dive a little deeper into working with him. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. And I think he would like to do it, but it's always a matter of, can you get the budget? Is his calendar open when our calendar's open?
A lot of logistics.
There's a lot of logistics, and so you can never be for sure, but we would definitely do it again.
Well, that gives me a whole new insight to the album, to appreciate it even more, to know that it was such spot on, that it wasn't all pre-planned and
it wasn't.
to that extent.
He would throw things out. We would play a song for a couple of months, and Joey would have it all worked up, and then we'd be in the studio, and Nick would just say, "Why don't you try this there, Joey?" Just totally throw him off his game.
Yeah.
And then say, "Oh, cool, now do it this way." And Joey would try it that way, and but it was almost like a strategy, like, let's sort of take you out of it for a minute, and let's see if this new thing works. And then it helps make it feel a little more spontaneous too, because you know, instead of having, like you said, having everything perfectly planned out, there's this room where strange things can happen.
Yeah.
You know, and so that happened a lot, where he would suggest moving apart or play a solo here instead of here, and so it was, you were always in the moment. You know, like you were never like just calling it in.
Yeah.
You never knew like what he was going to ask you to do. And that was fun.
Yeah, that's really like sparks creativity.
It does,
right?
yeah. You know, they talk a lot about in recording trying to like bottle lightning. You know what I mean? And like trying to like get that thing that could only happen in that one moment. And I think he tries to throw some of that in there, some of that opportunity, so that it's not so pre-planned, which I really liked. It made it feel a little more alive and energetic. So yeah.
I was going to ask about the artwork for the album cover. Obviously, I guess you did it.
I didn't. Not this time.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually I went to school with an artist from Germany, and because I make art as well, and I teach art, and we went to the same graduate school, and I saw him giving a talk once where he was showing some of his new work, and when I saw it, I was like, oh man, that's what I want the new album artwork to look like, because we had already been demoing things, and we knew what we were going for, and as soon as I saw his work, I was like, that's it. That's the work that I want. So I just said, his name is Nils Karsten, and I said, Nils, would you be interested in doing an album cover, because he's been a fan of ours since the first album, and he was really excited, so he immediately started sending collages. So he hand makes all those collages, cuts them out of magazines.
Yeah.
And so he would send me like 5 or 10 at a time, and he would just say, I'm just sending you whatever I make. And so after about 25 of them, he sent the last batch, and that's when I saw the album cover. And I was like, that's the one, man.
Well, is there any, so that was his creation or anything? Now, did you all have any input? It was all him? Just submission?
All I did was give him demos. I said, here's what the album is, here's what it's about, and go to town.
Yeah.
I love your style. Show me how you interpret this. And so that's his interpretation of the album.
I dissected that and looked at it and like, what in the world is the symbolism behind this?
Right.
Like, drove myself crazy looking at it.
I think, you know, he, as an artist, I think what I like about his work is that, you know, this album is sort of about a specific time period. It's about the Dust Bowl of the 1930s, and what that has to do with what's happening now in our world. But I think he found a way to sort of bridge that time with our time, so it feels old, but like there's a trailer park in there, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not necessarily locked into that original time. And I think he tried to sort of like play with, you know, time in an interesting way. So I just thought it was a really open. It makes you look at it and go, what is this about? And what does it have to do with the music? And then you get to make all the cool connections, because it's not a one-to-one thing. It's not like this thing means this thing. It's like this could mean this, but it could also mean this. And
there's multiple implications from it.
Exactly. So he did the cover and the back, and then I did like the inside layouts of the vinyl and the CD and stuff. But he did the artwork.
So conceptually, there is an underlying theme then throughout the album.
Yeah. So each song, I was looking at a photograph from a photographer named Dorothea Lange, and she was a photographer during the Dust Bowl, and her goal was to capture the plight of the people in the Great Plains at that time, because there was an enormous amount of poverty. People had flocked there because they were growing wheat crops and grazing cattle, and things were good for a good decade, but then the way we were farming was actually destructive, and it ended up causing this huge issue, which is the Dust Bowl, these huge dust storms. And just thinking about our relationship to nature, thinking about labor, you know, thinking about economic disparity. I think a lot of people, certainly I know, I feel like I don't make enough money to survive. You know, every month is paycheck to paycheck, and I think most people I know live that way. And it was like that then too, that people didn't know if they were going to make it next month. And I think that sense of anxiety exists now, and just to say that like these things are sort of cyclical, you know, and that we've been here before. What did we learn from that experience, if anything, and then how can we think about what's happening now? And so those photographs that she took are iconic. She's the one that did the migrant mother. I don't know if if you saw it, you would immediately know it. And so I picked not that one, but a lot of her other photographs. And so lyrically, when we would get sort of a rough draft of a song, I would try and match a photograph with that particular demo, and then I would start writing lyrics. And so the album to me is sort of like a series of photographs, right? Because that's what I was sort of looking at. So it's not like a narrative conceptually, it's more thematic. Each song works with the next, but they're not beginning, middle, and end, if that makes sense.
It does. I have a strong artistic background myself, and that's one thing I like about albums is the visual presentation of them too. You know, unfortunately, in the internet age and with downloading, a lot of that has been lost with a lot of artists and stuff. So
I'm committed to. I'm like an old school album person. Everything that we do will always be that old album oriented, you know, rock. The artwork's important. The song structures and the song flow, all that matters to me. I want the whole package. You know, I love that stuff.
Yeah, me too.
It's been decimated, like you said, by the internet. So, that's something I'm going to keep doing.
Speaking of old school, Matt, what got you into music? Particular band, particular group?
The first real, I was probably 12, and I just started playing guitar, and I don't know who gave it to me, but I would say like Ride the Lightning, like Metallica, was like the first real thing where I was like, oh, this is like not just something you casually listen to. Like I want to like listen to it all the time. I want to buy the T-shirts.
Life changing.
I want to learn the songs, and then it was like Master of Puppets. Oh shit! You know, like, and so that was my first real love, I guess. You know, where I wasn't just sort of listening; I was like into it. So that's my earliest, you know. And then I saw them in concert, probably '92 or something. I was, you know, young at the time, but it was like that was it. It was over at that point. It was like I never stopped playing, you know.
Everyone's always asked, because everyone, of course, has that gateway band or musician that got them. Me, it was Kiss. You know,
right.
But yeah, everyone's got that as far as it goes. Now, I have Dream the Electric Sleep. I know everyone automatically assumes that it's connected to the Philip K. Dick
Yeah,
novel, but
yeah.
I have read that it's actually not.
It's not. Yeah.
Okay.
It just so happens that we had lists of words, and I think Chris is the one that put it together. And I said, I like that, but it's a lot like this Philip K. Dick novel. He knew it too, and he said, but I don't really care. And I said, well, if you guys don't care, it's kind of like it's an automatic association. You know what I mean? People will automatically make that, so maybe it's cool, and the name is sort of, well, honestly, trying to come up with a band name.
Yeah, and today, oh my God.
I mean, we probably had, 30 before that, and every one of them was taken. So it was like, well.
Yeah, that totally surprised me when I read that, because that made people automatically assume, that it's connected to the Philip K. Dick novel, and it's not. You all are based in Lexington, Kentucky.
Right.
How hard is it to be a progressive rock band in Lexington, Kentucky? If at all.
If at all. Yeah. I mean, I think rock and roll in general is just, in the States, is having a really hard time.
Yeah.
Progressive rock, hard rock, metal, getting 500 people to come see a band, like unless you're like a huge band, is really hard. Most of the success we found has been in Europe, where people, for whatever reason, still go see live music and still buy vinyl and albums. Not that we don't sell them here, not that we don't have fans, but the U.S. is huge. So to get like the 1,000 people that might love what you're doing in one spot, it's like you've got 10 people here and 30 people there and 50 people here.
Sporadic.
It's sporadic, and it's very difficult. Yeah, I don't even like think about being like a Lexington band anymore, because we hardly play there. Our friends and some fans know about us, but I would say 50 people, maybe 100 people in Lexington,
which is a shame. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, because there's so many great bands that should be packing a club. In the 90s, those bands would be doing that. Maybe we could do that too, but right now, I'm hoping that something happens culturally that
we need a big shift of some kind.
We need a big shift, and I don't see it yet. So I'm just sort of like, all right, I just gotta, like every rock band, you gotta find what works and put your resources there. So making albums. And putting things online gets you way more fans and attention than touring. So why would you put your time and money into that when that doesn't get you nearly as much as this other thing? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. The whole dynamic of just the music. I don't like the term industry. I've never been a fan of industry or whatever, but everything has just totally changed, man. It really has. I never would have imagined the state of music as it is right now, the shape it's in.
And I mean, obviously the internet has changed everything, but there's something else. It's not just that. People could still be into rock music, but they're not. Are we rockers doing it wrong? Like, what's the problem? You know what I mean? Like, and I couldn't tell you. It feels like there's just a lot of, I think this is probably presumptuous, but apathy. But I also think people are probably, right now, have less time. People probably work more, at least in our generation, let's say 25 to 45. I think those people are probably working more for less money, so they have less income to just blow on shows, to go out and have some drinks. I mean, I do think that just from an economic standpoint, going out to a rock show is harder for people. Because it costs, you come out and have 3 or 4 beers, well, there's $25. You pay the cover charge, $5 to $10. So you're looking at $35 or $40 bucks, and that adds up. If you do that every weekend, that's like a couple $100 a month. And I don't have a couple $100 bucks.
No, not for entertainment.
For entertainment, So people pay $10 and watch Netflix. I think there's all these factors.
There is. I agree with that. And if we ever needed, if there was ever a time that we needed escapism, and music is like the best form of it for me.
Right,
I know you all have made a few videos, of course. How involved are you all in the video making process?
We're it.
You are it. So
we make them.
Yeah, okay, so they originate with you all.
They do, like
go forward from you all.
Yeah, my wife, she did the flight video, so she's responsible for that one. But the other videos, we just hired a cameraman and said, do this thing, and they did it. So yeah.
I like how they turned out, man. I
mean, I have a background in video editing and stuff from art school and all that. So I know some of that, but still, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather be out there writing new music, but you have to learn how to be a video director now, and you have to learn how to, be your own manager and be your own booking agent and do it all, and it's exhausting.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm a fan of the DIY ethic myself and stuff, but like you said, it can be a lot to shoulder.
When you're working full time, and it's like, gosh, one video can take 20 to 40 hours.
Yeah.
By the time you set it up, film it, edit it, and release it, that's a big investment. So, yeah.
Definitely. Well, they are sound checking. I don't want to be drowned out on my interview. So, Matt, in closing, was there anything you would like to add?
I think we covered a lot. That was great. Thank you so much for taking the time to do it.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
So my guest is Matt Page with Dream the Electric Sleep. The album Beneath the Dark Wide Sky is out now. You all are on tour.
We're playing a few shows, and then we hope to go to Europe soon.
Yeah. So actually go out and buy an album. Go see them live. Do what you can. Dragon, Metal Nexus, Matt Page, Dream the Electric Sleep. Thank you.